come on in because we are here for the Married at First Sight reunion. And I'm a few days late, but here I am. I finally got to watch it on my last episode. I knew the outcomes. I knew that I was coming back to a situation where none of the couples were together, but I didn't know how it happened, how it went down, what were the circumstances around it. So I didn't know how it was going to change my opinion on any of these people, but I got to tell you this. It didn't change my opinion on anyone. I know I'm a different from a lot of people. I know I am because I know everybody is going to want to see all these ladies that got dumped, all of them as victims of these men who dumped them. But you know what? I don't see it that way. I really don't see it that way because let me tell you something. First of all, let me just announce one thing that is a surprise to me that I can't believe at the end of this season that my favorite person on this season ends up being Megan. Absolutely. It's Megan. You know why? Because Megan sees herself. Megan finally sees herself and there's hope. Once you see yourself and you see what you need to do differently, I'm hopeful for you because I feel like, okay, now you just got to put in the work. But if you just keep walking around feeling as if you're the victim, you're the victim, you're the victim, what you don't know how to do is go on to another relationship and get better because what you tend to believe is that it wasn't me, it was the other person. I'm really happy that this reunion was a year and a half later. I do. I like this long gap for the reunion because I feel like at this point, everybody has had some reflection. And if they were going to do any growth, any healing, it would show up here today. And if after a year and a half, if I haven't seen enough growth and healing around what your real problems are, I don't have much hope for you. I really don't. Everybody came with revenge bodies. So even if I didn't know whether these people were still together, them bodies told the whole story that when women show up with revenge bodies, that's just what it is. I want you to regret your decision of walking away from me. And in the end, none of the men regretted it, as they should not. The only person let me tell you, I really liked Megan in the end. And let me tell you who I disliked the most in the end, Derek. I think of everyone, Derek was the most ruthless. Yep, I said it, and I'm going to get to him. But first, I want to talk about the fact that all season long I've been saying that these ladies are self-centered. All of them self-centered. Well, I'm going to leave Megan out of it because I think it's actually the opposite. You know, every season we see Married at First Sight try to create drama. We see patterns in the pairings of people. And I want to say this year, I believe what the pattern was that they purposely paired self-centered people with other people. And for most part, the self-centered people were all the ladies, and they were paired with men who had to cater to the women's feelings, their fragility. And then they got enough of it. They had enough of it up to here. And then what they did was they basically dumped the women. They ghosted the women. They left abruptly. All of them left abruptly. But I want to say this. I want to say that the reverse of that is Megan and Derek. Derek is actually the self-centered one. Yep, I'm going to say it. He's the self-centered one. Um, a lot of these people, a lot of the men and women, they kind of have also, I believe, medically undiagnosed issues. And so what happens is when you are a self-centered person and you encounter these real issues with people, you can make it be about yourself. And that was the problem all season because a lot of these men, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about Josh, who I believe has ADD. I'm going to talk about Chad, who definitely has, I believe, PTSD. I'm going to talk about Pat, who obviously is like a codependent or something. And I'm going to talk about Derek, who is, I keep calling him a vagabond. I'm going to call him a vagabond. I know he got a job, but he's a vagabond. He's a loner. He's a wanderer. He's an abandoner. That's what he does. Okay. And then what happens is when you're with these people who have problems before you even met them, these were their issues. When you see their issues, what you tend to do is make their issues all about you, right? Like all of a sudden their issues are because of you. And here's the problem when you do that. When you make another person's issue all about you, then they also have their issues, right? And they've been walking around in the world with these issues. Josh has been walking around with ADD. Chad has been walking around with PTSD. um, Everyone's walking around with their issues. But then when you come in as a female and you are solely focused on your own comfort and your own needs, and these men display this behavior, what you then go after in that relationship is you're making a person who is already at a deficit not focus anymore on trying to improve themselves, whatever they're going through, get better. Now, what they have to focus on is making you feel better. And what a lot of these men talked about was they had to get away. They felt trapped, they felt cornered, and they kind of ran away. And once they ran away, they all abruptly ended these relationships. And I know all these ladies feel as if they got dumped and the men were overly harsh. Um, but there's enough blame to go around. There's blame to go around for the men, there's blame to go around for the women. So I want to tell you how I see this. Because here's the thing, if you're married and you make a partner's every bad mood to be about you, where does that leave you? Imagine you're a person and you have moods throughout the day. Sometimes you are angry, sometimes you're sad, sometimes you are happy, sometimes you are annoyed, sometimes you are frustrated. Imagine you are this person all by yourself without a partner. Then you get a partner. Those moods don't go away, right? But imagine that every time you have one of those moods, your partner then makes that mood that you have, regardless of whether you're with them or not, they make that mood about them. So now what do you have to do? Cater to your partner, right? Because your partner hasn't recognized that some things going on with you are just because of you. And then what happens is you get these men who overwhelmingly, what they talked about, they felt cornered, they felt trapped, they ran away, they abandoned these women because for them, this was the only way they could feel liberated. So first I want to talk about Josh and Jaylen. I know a lot of you probably have a different opinion about Jaylen, but I'm going to tell you right now, Jaylen is very self-centered. I said it before, I say it now. And I'm going to say that a lot of Josh's behavior that I think we see more so is I think he's got ADHD or ADD. I think we saw it when he was writing that letter and that poem. And remember, I said Jaylen made it all about her, that he didn't love her. And I don't think it was anything about that. I think he has a learning disability. Um, and now that we see when Jaylen was saying he likes constant stimulation, he likes to jump around from here to here. He can't be still. And when he's still, he gets anxiety. He doesn't feel comfortable. Then guess what? That's also symptoms of ADHD. That's ADD. But I'm still going to say Jaylen brought in the same old personality I saw, and she makes everything to be about her. Now, she says that they are no longer together, that they broke up 3 months ago. So they lasted, I guess, at least a year if they broke up 3 months ago. Now, and I remember everyone in my comments saying, Jaylen did everything to be with Josh, but I think y'all missed some details. Jaylen went on to tell us how she went to Burning Man, she went to these raves, everything that Josh wanted. And she actually said she had a good time. So let me get this right, Jaylen. You went from never wanting to go to any of these things, almost wanting to get divorced from not going, to all of a sudden you decide to go to all these things. Now, I know the presentation would be I went to all these things in order to please Josh, but I don't believe it. I believe Jaylen went because Josh told her that that's fine. If you don't want to go, I'm going to go without you. That's what I believe. I believe that Jaylen was given and basically knew that she didn't have to go, but if she didn't go, he would go by himself. And then I think that she would feel left alone, and then she would be worried that he was cheating. So, did she go just to be with Josh? No. That's what I'm talking about. You really got to know people's motives. She went to keep an eye on Josh. Because let me tell you why I know that. Because she said she went to all these things. And she said, actually, when she went to Burning Man, she had a good time. Really? You had a good time camping at Burning Man for 10 days? Like, even when I was telling Jaylen maybe she should meet Josh halfway, I was thinking 10 days would be too much. I was thinking maybe you'll go for a little while. Maybe the rest of the time he could stay with some friends. But no, 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 no. Jaylen told all of us that she went to Burning Man, but here's the caveat. She said that the entire time they were by themselves. There it is. She said the entire time it was just the two of them. Well, that's not what Josh wanted to do at Burning Man. Josh said that he goes to Burning Man and these raves for community, that he has built a community with these people and they return year after year for their community. But what Jaylen did was she went to the event, and then because of her insecurities, she required that Josh be just with her. That's like you inviting someone to a party, they don't want to go. Then they say, fine, I'll go. But then when you go to the party, your mate makes you sit in the corner just with them and hold their hand the whole time. You're not really at the party. If I can't walk around the party and talk to other people and have the type of fun I want to have at the party, then I don't want to go. So Jaylen can sit here all the time and tell me she went to Burning Man for community, which she didn't, because what she admitted was she had a good time, because what she did was she goes, we got to bond. I got to be with him, right? No, that's not community. I'm going to tell you right now, Jaylen doesn't know how to build community. She knows how to do things in order to please herself. Even when it looks like she's doing something for you, she's doing it for herself. Jaylen went to Burning Man and rave to keep an eye on her man. That's what she did. That's what she did. That's why she was triggered when she went to one of those raves and some random chick from years past or whatever came up to him and said, or she said, oh, did you F her? Did you F her? That's why Josh says, this is done. We're leaving. Because Josh had seen it before. Josh had to be alone just with Jayden at Burning Man so that Jaylen would feel safe. That's not the same thing. That's not the. So I don't want to hear the story from Jaylen that I did all this from him. No, 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 no. Those are two different. And that's what Josh got to. He says it really wasn't enough for her just to go. I wanted her to go and really want to be getting involved in these things. Jaylen only went to these things not really out of what she wanted to do. And hey, that's fine. That's why we say be sure that you frame things the right way. Be sure you really know why you're going. That way you can't say you're doing one thing or another. Now, a lot of people say, well, what did Josh do for Jaylen? Where did he go? I don't know what he did, but we don't hear Jaylen even bringing up anything that she wanted to do that he didn't do. She didn't bring up that one complaint. We did not hear Jaylen say, these are all the things I wanted Josh to do, and he didn't do them with me. We didn't hear that. So what I'm starting to believe is that Jaylen didn't have anything that she wanted to do besides go to the spa and get her nails done. Did she come up with anything? That's what I want to know. And I don't think she did. I think that's why Josh is saying with his ADD, he can't sit still. I do believe Jaylen on that part, that he can't sit still. And if he doesn't come up with things to do, Jaylen doesn't come up with anything, because I think Jaylen is boring. I think Jaylen and her mama are boring. That's what they do. And so when Josh says, well, I don't want to just sit around, I want to do something. And when I go, I want to be amongst people and I want to, whatever. Jaylen is saying, well, I'll go. But when we go, we got to sit over in the corner and just be by ourselves. You see, one other thing is we know that Josh is a liar. Even Jaylen finally admits that he lies about a lot of little things. He does. And we saw it all season long. And he lies because he doesn't tell Jaylen the truth. And do I think it's just because of Jaylen that he tells little white lies? I don't think so. I think he tells them, period. I think he tells them to people regularly. I think he believes that withholding information isn't the same as a lie. It is. It's a lie by omission. I think that even in that thing that happened during the season, remember the whole kerfuffle over the lady texting him and he didn't block her and he didn't tell her that he was married. I think it's the same thing. He withheld information from her. But here's the thing. When you diagnose what's wrong with Josh in the context that it's all about you miss the whole point. None of this stuff with Josh is about Jaylen. But because she is so self-focused, so centered, she makes all of his shortcomings to be about her. And they're not. And when you make them be about yourself, you're never going to get to the point where Josh can even get the help that he needs. He needs help too. He needs help, but I'm going to tell Jaylen, I still believe the same old thing, that she is so self-centered. Everything that goes on, she puts it in the context of her. And this idea that they were on vacation, They broke up. He came back. He expressed his happiness. And she was saying, I never even knew he was unhappy. How can you be with a person and never know they're unhappy? You know how you can do that? One is he's not being truthful. He's not really speaking his true feelings. And you're not even looking for it. You're really not, because you're really focused on yourself. So they miss each other. His lying, his lies by omission, and Jaylen's concentration on herself means not that she's not seeing him, and he doesn't want to tell her the truth, because once again he likes to talk, he likes to lie by omission. You see what I'm saying? And all this going out, seeing a girl, you effed me. Did you F her? Like, I mean, if this is a rave that he's been going to year after year, Jaylen, yes, you're going to run into a woman that he effed. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how to tell you the truth, Jaylen. What do you expect? If he goes here every year, and there are women who go here every year, more than likely there's going to be a woman there that he effed. Like, why can't you handle that truth? And then even after they break up, and he's in a club, and some woman is all over him, and once again, Josh wants Jaylen's friends to not tell her the truth. Once again, he's trying to lie by omission. Even Jaylen then in that moment doesn't even see it. She doesn't even see it. He said that she's level 2 adventure, he's level 10, and what he's talking about is his ADD. He likes to go, 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 go. That's what it looks like. And then Jaylen don't want to go, 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 go. That's what it looks like. It has nothing to do with specifically Jaylen. He likes to go, 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 go. And honestly, I don't think Jaylen is that way. I actually don't think that Jaylen is as thoughtful as she likes to come off to be, and that she knows how to build community. That's why I think Jaylen was so triggered by it. When Jaylen went off because he told her that I've never seen you build community, I think Jaylen has heard it before, because she was so triggered by it. I need you to tell me I build community. But let me tell you, I've seen a lot of situations with Jaylen where I felt as a female, if you're really a community person, you would have shown more tenderness. I remember back when Britney was crying at that table with Will, and she went to the restroom, and I said Megan was the only one that even went up and comforted her and went to the restroom. Jaylen and her mama sat there, right? And then there was another moment. There was another moment on this episode when Megan later on tells us she had a miscarriage, and she's sitting in between Britney and Megan. I mean, Britney and Jaylen doesn't even put her hand on the shoulder of Megan. Jaylen doesn't put her hand on her leg. She doesn't comfort her at all. This woman is crying over having a miscarriage, and you don't even reach out. You sit there with your arms crossed and don't even touch her. I don't believe it about Jaylen. I believe Jaylen is very self-centered. And I'm happy about the relationship between Britney and Megan, because I think they're going to teach each other a few things. I really do. I think Britney's going to learn how to tap into more inner strength that Megan has. And I think Megan is going to learn something from Britney about how to be a bit more vulnerable. But in the end, Josh talked about that he lost himself in loving Jaylen. I believe it. He lost himself because too much of himself had to be suppressed in order to feel comfortable with Jaylen. And in the end, it just becomes a blow up. Even when she said he lied about the assistant, he lied. Once again, why did he lie? She never said he was having an affair with the assistant. Once again, Josh just lies because what he feels is that Jaylen can't handle the truth. She couldn't handle that his assistant was a 20-year-old. So he had to lie and tell her that she was 40. It's still a lie. It absolutely is. But Josh needs to get help with about feeling as if people can't handle the truth, because I think what Josh doesn't want to do is he doesn't want to disrupt the connection he has with the person by telling them the truth, because I think he has a problem, like he said, building community. And once he builds it, he doesn't want to let it go, and he's willing to lie in order to keep you in the dark. That's not a good thing to do. That's not going to be healthy to build trust in a relationship. But the issue is his issue. It's not really about Jaylen, but Jaylen got her own issues. She got her own, and unless she sees it, she's going to have a problem. And I think she's fallen right into this whole circumstance about being just like her mama. She's fallen into the same. She went out and got a dog. Now she says her dog is her baby, her best friend. Her dog is in the bedroom, just like her mama's dog was in the bedroom. So she's becoming her mama 2.0, and she's not even seeing the issues with her mama. I thought the whole thing between Belinda and Chad was another thing where Belinda didn't see what's going on with Chad. Chad obviously has PTSD. Okay, I think he was in the army or whatever, but it goes back to what Chad was talking about. All the time, Chad sees threats where there may not be threats, right? And I believe Chad suffers from anxiety. He also talks about he suffers from insomnia. Belinda said that he drinks too much. These are all related. I don't know why anyone can't see this, right? You can't sleep, you're jittery, you fly off the handle, you drink, you have insomnia. This is clear as day. Why are we making Chad's issues to be about Belinda? You understand what I'm saying? And when you're only focused about yourself and your needs, you don't have the ability to realize and say, hey, you know what, even though we're in this spot, I can see how the issues going on have nothing to do with me. And if someone is in a place where they need help, that person needs to concentrate on getting better. They don't need to concentrate constantly on soothing your hurt feelings because you've made everything to be about you. You see, um, in the end, Belinda and Chad didn't even move in together. They came back to the house. We had this kerfuffle with the dog. Belinda believes Chad overreacted. He might have because that's what he does. And then, like Belinda said, Chad kept saying he had anxiety because of the producers, but then the producers were gone and he had anxiety without the producers. He said he had anxiety about the dog. Exactly. Chad has anxiety, period, point blank. You're right, Belinda. And Chad doesn't see himself. Chad needs to see. Now we know why Chad has been divorced 4 times. I think Chad does have a good heart. I think Chad does want to be a different person, but Chad doesn't know how to be a different person. Chad needs to go get some medication. Chad doesn't need to go to a therapist or a psychologist. Chad needs to go to a psychiatrist that can prescribe some medicine. That's what he needs to go to because he needs to be leveled out. He needs some medication to help him with his anxiety. Okay? Because if he doesn't get medication to help himself with anxiety, he's going to be overreacting to all these moments. Like he said, he has anxiety. He was in a tailspin. Okay? And let me tell you, when they were at that crawfish gathering at Megan's house, and I saw Jaylen jump on Chad the way she did, I didn't like it because that's who Jaylen is. That's who Jaylen is. The way that Jaylen had that smart mouth with Chad, I didn't like it. Once again, Jaylen feeling as if she's got to protect her mother because her mother is so fragile. Your mother is a grown-ass woman. She can stand up for herself. She didn't need Jaylen to come in there with that smart-ass mouth and with that lip service, because that's what I'm saying. We didn't hear a lot from Josh about Jaylen's smart mouth, but I'm going to tell you, for Jaylen to go to Burning Man and the raves, you think it went off without a hitch, or do you believe Jaylen had a smart ass mouth all the way up to there and during that time? That's what I think. That's why I think Josh would isolate those two away from the friends, because I think Jaylen has a smart mouth and she gets a nasty attitude when she's not getting her way. Right? It's almost like you with a kid with a temper tantrum and you go out in public with your child because you want to go out, but you can't go with anybody else. You know why? Because your kid gonna pop off, right? Your kid is gonna have a nasty mouth. So you got to play with your kid all by yourself because you don't want your child to disrupt the community. Jaylen is not no community person. And the way that she mouthed off that Chad was out of line. Out of line. She did not need to jump in that way. Now, is Chad's conversation short, abrupt, and curt? Absolutely. That's part of his anxiety. That's part of his PTSD. He sees threats, elevated threats where they're not one, so he overreacts. He overreacts. So, hey, Chad needs to get some help. Like I said, these ladies need to stop believing that everything is about them and that everything should be focused on them, right? And now we get to another person who's got issues, Britney. I was glad to hear at the end that Britney went and got therapy. Thank you, Britney. Britney had her revenge body going on. She looks good. But there's another person that suffers. They went back to the story about how when Britney was young, she was tearing her fingernails off, her toenails off her toes. That's a form of self-harm. That's anxiety. Okay, that's close to a kid cutting themselves, tearing your toenails off. Doesn't that hurt? How far off were you tearing your toenails off to expose your skin? That's a form of self hurt. That's anxiety because on the inside you don't feel well. Brittany not sleeping on sheets. These are things that were signs from early on about Brittany that she suffers from anxiety issues and self worth issues. And she brought those issues to this marriage. She brought it to this marriage. And in the end, Will, we find out that he only said yes in front of those cameras because he was tired of Brittany crying and whining, right? And he just said yes to give her way in that moment. But later on, he says, I gotta go. I can't be here. And that's one of the things I believe that Brittany does in order to get you to stay. She whines, she cries, she begs, she pleads. She's darn near a stalker. All that leaving notes on Will's door at his apartment is stalkerish behavior. And then, like Will said, security at the apartment says she's been behind several times. And she said, no, I haven't. It was because I went to visit Jaylen, and Jaylen sat there with her mouth closed and didn't affirm it and say, yes, that's why she was here. Nope, I don't believe it. Brittany's a stalker. She's a stalker. Now, does Will need to realize that he is, like he said, succinct? He is. And where does that come from? I've said where that came from. That comes from his own childhood, right? But the part about Brittany is she associated Will's conversation, his behavior, his mannerisms with her. And everybody here is saying, no, Will is like that with everyone, right? Once you recognize that a person's problem is their problem, you have to stop making it about you because that creates a whole nother problem. Now that person has to concentrate on fixing their problem. And now also they have to continually also be afraid that they're hurting you. It's not a good place to be. It's like when you see a person on a road and they got road rage. The last thing you want to do in that moment in road rage is confront them, because what they're going to do is they're going to hurt you even more. They're going to curse you out. They might hurt you. They might do something to you. And what you need to do is you say, hey, whatever they're going through it. I'm not going to go over there and confront them and get in the middle of it and then get hurt even more by that person. That's these people. They're not recognizing that these men had their own issues prior to meeting these women. But these women are so self-centered, they make it all about them. It has all been just a complete disaster. To watch the ending of Will and Brittany, to watch Brittany begging him, tell me you love me, tell me you love me, when this man is saying he's done and walking out the door, to stalk him with notes on the doors, it's crazy. It's crazy. And even in this reunion, when they were asking Will, when Will was saying, how he felt, he too wanted to get away. You see, he went away at first for his job for a week, and he came back and he didn't even last one night. He was ready to go. And he kept saying, I don't feel like anything I could do was good enough for you. And Brittany said, I never said that you were good enough. I said I wasn't good enough for you. There you go. There's all her internal struggle. There's all her internal struggle. So what she got to was, I never said it was about you. It was about me. There you go, Brittany. There you go. You made it about yourself one more time. Why can't it be just his thing? Why can't it be that, yes, he has problems emotionally connecting with women? Call it a thing, Brittany. Don't make it about particularly to you. You see, because then what that calls her to do is need constant reassurance. And when Will did try to speak, all the ladies jumped on him. And then he said, can I talk? That is the theme with all the men. All the men felt they can't talk. Listen to it. Pat said he can't talk. Will said, I can't talk. Josh lies because he can't talk, right? Chad says, shut up so I can talk. All these men feel silenced because what they're saying is who they really are in their flawed self. They really couldn't show their flawed self to these women because these women couldn't see it and they couldn't handle it. And so therefore the men felt trapped, right? And then how did they handle it? They ran away. In the very end, they all ran away. They all ran away. And even Britney told Will, "What have I done to you to make you treat me this way?" There you go again, Britney. Maybe you didn't do anything. Maybe it's just who he is. Maybe it's just who you are. Like I said, these ladies, if they're going to go on to be in a better relationship, they're going to have to do a better job and not thinking everything is about them. And like I said, Josh needs therapy because he lies to keep peace. And that creates an area, it creates an environment of distrust. Jaylen is self centered from the head to the toe. Britney has anxiety that goes back from childhood, not sleeping with sheets, tearing off her toenails, having stalkerish behavior here in her adult years. Will has emotional disconnect issues. Okay. Uh, Belinda is very self centered. She didn't give a damn about Chad from the very beginning. She was all about herself. And Chad has PTSD. I don't know what to tell you. And then when we look at Rhonda and Pat, same thing. He ran away too. And Rhonda told us another story. She told a story that Pat went off to Europe for a whole entire month. He left her for a whole entire month. That is a man trying to get away. And why didn't Rhonda go? Rhonda didn't go because she said that they had been traveling the months before a lot. Well, that tells me more than likely that on those previous trips, we went everywhere Rhonda wanted to go, and Pat was tired of it. So finally, he had to book a trip all by himself to go where he wanted to go. That's what that tells me. And then what Pat is saying is once he got back from being gone for 30 days and he got back home, Rhonda didn't want to have sex with him for 10 days. So Pat says, I've been gone for 30 days. Rhonda says, but when he got back, it was the best time of the marriage. You know why? Because Pat went away. He got recharged. He got to concentrate on himself and not have to always concentrate on Rhonda. His cup was full because he poured into himself. When he got back, he was full. He then had enough capacity to pour into Rhonda, and Rhonda said, I was the happiest I've ever been. Rhonda said, I was receiving because Pat was on full because he had finally nurtured himself. And then I was there receiving everything, but I was receiving all this good stuff, but I wasn't giving him any sex and I wasn't doing anything. And then Pat became upset. So Rhonda was willing to sit there and receive everything from Pat again to get everything she wanted, but not think that after 40 days, maybe she ought to have sex with her husband. Because you know what she was doing? She was secretly also punishing Pat because she didn't want Pat to go to Europe for 30 days. I know she didn't. No, she didn't. He went. She didn't want it. And when he came back, then what she says is, I'm going to punish him. I'm not going to have sex with him. And then I'm going to tell him I'm not attracted to you because you're a wimp and you don't know how to stand your ground. Rhonda is a narcissist. Nothing has changed with Rhonda. So I was glad that Pat left her and dumped her. And I was glad that Pat realized that he gives up too much of himself in order to people please other people. And then in the end, it's going to be a problem for him. The way that Rhonda sat up there and said, I look at you as weak for not saying yes on decision day, when he was the one that said no on decision day, but yet you darn near twisted his arm to make him say yes. You basically manipulated him to say yes. And then once you get him to say yes, it still becomes the thing you say you don't like about him because he didn't have no backbone and he needs to be a man to stand up to me. Girl, no. Change yourself. Change yourself. Instead of requiring people to be a certain way to handle you, handle yourself. Handle yourself. And in the end, the last couple, Derek and Megan, like I said, in the end, Derek did what I said he would do or who he is. I didn't predict that Megan would lose the baby. I'm sorry to hear that. But he did what he did. He ran. Because Derek doesn't do anything unless there's something in it for him. And once that baby was gone, there was nothing in it for him. We saw the problems that Derek and Megan had prior to the baby, right? And it was something in it for him because I know now What Derek really wants is he wants a family because Derek is a vagabond. And what Derek is believing, yeah, I said it again, people who are all upset. What Derek is believing is that once he has children, that will make him stay somewhere. Derek is going to abandon his baby mama. Whoever has a baby with Derek, they better be very careful because what Derek is trying to do is he's trying to make the baby be the thing that makes him change. He doesn't understand why does he like to move around so much, right? Why can't he be still? Why can't he be stable? And what he says about this new woman he's dating is that what he likes about her is she's excited about having a baby. You see, he never felt comfortable with Megan because Megan, they got pregnant but on accident. Megan never really said, yes, I want to have the baby right now. Remember, they were going back and forth with that. Derek didn't trust that after this miscarriage, that Megan would want to get pregnant again right away. I bet around the miscarriage, Megan was so hurt, she needed some time to recover. She was afraid. She was going through what anyone would go through after a miscarriage, and she needed time. But I suspect Derek didn't care because I suspect Derek wanted what he wanted, and what Derek wanted to do was let's try again for another baby right away. That's what I suspect. And Megan said, no, I need time. And when Derek wasn't getting what he wanted, that caused more problems in the relationship, and he left. That's what I believe. That's exactly what I believe. And now he's gone on to this new woman who says, oh, she's excited about having kids. And then he says, Megan calls him out and says, yeah, but he was on Raya, the dating app, just 2 months ago. So although he's been with this woman for 7 months, just 2 months ago, he was on Raya. So he's lying too. Megan is a runner. Derek is a runner. He's absolutely a runner. And he's only with a woman because he wants a baby, because he believes the baby's going to change him. Nope. Change yourself, Derek. Change yourself. But in the end, every marriage fell apart. All these people got dumped. And it ain't a match. It is not a match. Well, looks like we're going to be getting another episode of Married at First Sight sooner than later, right? Who knew it? I guess now that we're on this new network, Peacock, they're going to be pumping them out a lot faster. So I will be back here to review the next season of Married at First Sight. And until then, I will see y'all later. Bye.